the richest southern and northern capital cities in the world. Some of the first questions to pop up to our minds are how to distinguish between the countries in the northern and the southern hemisphere. How to determine which is the richest country in both of these hemispheres. Well, buckle up as we take a ride around the world in this video to figure it out. First off, to know the most southern and northern capital cities of the world, we've got to use the help of an imaginary line called latitudes. Latitude is a coordinate that specifies the north and south position of any point on the surface of the Earth. Latitude is presented in angles ranging from -90 degrees at the South Pole and 90 degrees at the North Pole, with 0 degrees at the equator, or the imaginary line that divides the surface of the Earth into two equal halves. A fun fact about the equator, Quito is actually the capital city that is closest to the equator, with the latitude of this capital city being -0.18. It's only reasonable to assume that since Quito is located so close to the equator, that it would be unbearably hot throughout the year, similar to that of the climate experienced in the country of Singapore. Unlike Singapore, Quito is an elevated city, and it holds the title of the world's second highest capital city by sea level. And therefore, it enjoys a very pleasant climate throughout the year, but just watch out for the altitude sickness. So, quite simply, whichever capital city has the highest and lowest latitude will be the most northern and southern capital cities on Earth. So first, let's start off with the richest northern capital cities on Earth. The richest northern capital city in the world is likely to be Reykjavik, Iceland. According to a 2019 report by the International Monetary Fund, Iceland has the highest GDP per capita of any country in the world, and Reykjavik is a country's capital and the largest city. The city's economy is driven by tourism, fishing, and technology, and the standard of living in Reykjavik is considered to be very high. Additionally, the city has relatively low cost of living compared to other northern major capital cities, such as London, Stockholm, and Oslo. Here are a list of other capital cities that are considered the northernmost capitals in the world. Coming in at number 5 is Stockholm, Sweden. With a latitude of 59.33, the Swedish capital ranks as the 5th most northern capital in the world, located in northern Europe. This northern city actually sees pretty nice and toasty summers, but also pretty cold winters too. Stockholm is the most populated city in the Nordics. At number 4 comes Tallinn, Estonia, with a latitude of 59.43. Tallinn of Estonia is ever so slightly more northern than our previous entry, Stockholm, located far into Europe's east and just south of the capital city. Coming into entry number 3 is Oslo, Norway, with a latitude of 59.9. One of Norwegian capitals ranks as the 3rd most northern capital in the world. It is the 2nd of the 4 Nordic cities featured in this video. Oslo is a very nice place to live. Norway ranks itself as the most developed country on Earth. The quality of life is fantastic here, even if it is one of the most expensive places to live in the world. On a map, Oslo sits ever so slightly further north than both of our previous entries, from a distance which could barely be made out in a normal map. At number 2 comes Helsinki, Finland, with a latitude of 60.16. This capital city sits just north of the 4th most northern capital, Tallinn. Helsinki is just a stone's throw away from Tallinn across the Gulf of Finland. A ferry would take you from the Estonian capital to the Finnish capital with around 2 hours. And finally, number 1 on the world's most northern capital city is Reykjavik, Iceland, with a latitude of 64.2. Reykjavik is the most northern capital city you will find on Earth. Now, what is surprising about Reykjavik is that it is nowhere near as cold as you might expect. Having been located deep in the northwest Europe and being an island nation, it is expected to perhaps have sub-zero temperatures. During summer, you may see rather mild temperatures that are easily warm enough to wear a t-shirt outside even in January and February. Temperatures aren't too bad, ranging from -2 to 3 degrees Celsius on average, which is around the same as what you'd see in New York City. But the title of the wealthiest capital is held by none of these cities because in the northern hemisphere, some of the wealthiest capitals include London, Paris, and Moscow. Let's further move on to the world's richest, most southern capital cities. From the southern capitals, One of the cities that has a high GDP per capita and can be considered as the richest capital is the southern capital city of Wellington, New Zealand. According to a report by the International Monetary Fund, New Zealand has a high GDP per capita, and Wellington is the country's capital and the second most populous city. The city's economy is driven by the public sector, tourism, and a growing technology sector. Additionally, the city has a high standard of living and relatively low cost of living compared to the other major southern capital cities. Here is a list of the other southernmost capital cities in the world. Starting off with number 5 comes Cape Town, South Africa. With a latitude of minus 33.91, Cape Town isn't the only capital city in South Africa. In fact, there are 3. They are, of course, Cape Town, Pretoria, and Bloemfontein. Having been located geographically at the tip of the African continent, Cape Town is just one of the most beautiful capital cities on Earth. At number 4, we have Buenos Aires, Argentina, with a latitude of minus 34.60 degrees. This megacity is the second largest city in the southern hemisphere with a population of over 12 million, and only Sao Paulo, Brazil has a larger population than Buenos Aires in this hemisphere. Buenos Aires is a very beautiful, bustling city and is sometimes known as the Paris of South America. At number 3 comes Montevideo of Uruguay with a latitude of minus 34.90. Montevideo of Uruguay is located ever so slightly south of the previous entry, Buenos Aires. Montevideo is a very different city to Buenos Aires, however, and its population is just 1.4 million or so it's actually a very beautiful city architecturally and has some stunning beaches. Number 2 comes Canberra of Australia with a latitude of 35.34 degrees. Canberra is a notorious capital city and it isn't a particularly bad place to live, and in fact, it offers a very high quality of living, but it is known for being a very boring capital city with not much to do, especially when compared to other cities in Australia like Brisbane, Melbourne, or Sydney. And finally, the world's most southern capital city you can guess is which city? It is in fact Wellington of New Zealand, with a latitude of minus 41.27 degrees. This makes Wellington actually quite some distance further south than second place Canberra. The 5th, 4th, 3rd, and 2nd place are all on similar latitude. Wellington, however, sees itself around minus 6 lower than Canberra. For a city that is located so far south on Earth, the climate is actually rather pleasant, except that the summers are quite warm and the winters are rather mild compared to Reykjavik. Now getting to the wealthiest southern capital in the world. In the southern hemisphere, some of the wealthiest capitals include Sydney, Melbourne, and Buenos Aires. Sydney, the capital of New South Wales and one of the largest cities in Australia. It's worth noting that these are just a few examples of the wealthiest capitals in each hemisphere, and that there are many other cities that could be considered. Additionally, it's important to note that wealth can be measured in various ways, such as GDP per capita, income per capita, and other factors. So determining the wealthiest capital in the northern and southern hemisphere would entirely depend on which indicator you're using to classify it. The world's wealthiest capital cities are those that have a high standard of living, a strong economy, and a significant presence of wealthy individuals. These cities are often centers of finance, technology, and business, and they attract some of the most successful and affluent people. Some of the wealthiest capital cities in the world include London, United Kingdom. London is one of the world's most important financial centers and is home to some of those powerful and influential people in the world. The city's economy is driven by the financial services industry, which is the second largest in London. The city is also home to a number of wealthy individuals, many of whom are involved in the finance and business sectors. New York City, United States. New York City is the financial capital of the United States and is home to some of the world's most powerful and successful people. The city's economy is driven by the finance, technology, and business sectors, and it is home to some of the world's largest and most successful companies. Paris, France. Paris is one of the world's most iconic cities, known for its art, culture, and fashion. The city's economy is driven by the luxury goods sector, which includes fashion, jewelry, and perfumes. And Paris is also home to many wealthy individuals, many of whom are involved in fashion and the luxury good industries. Hong Kong, China. Hong Kong is one of the world's most important financial centers and is a major hub for international trade and commerce. The city's economy is driven by the finance and business sectors and is home to many wealthy individuals and successful companies. Singapore. Singapore is a small city-state in Southeast Asia, but it is highly developed and a diversified economy, which has a strong focus on exports, particularly in electronics and pharmaceuticals. The city-state has a high standard of living and attracts many wealthy individuals and businesses. In conclusion, the wealthiest capital cities in the world are those that have a strong economy and a high standard of living. These cities attract some of the world's most successful and affluent people and are often centers of finance, technology, and business. Some examples of these cities include London, New York City, Paris, Hong Kong, and Singapore. Hope you enjoyed the video. Comment below what your thoughts are on the wealthiest cities in the world. Like and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that bell icon to stay updated.